Hey, what's up guys? Jason Julius here, and in this video, let's talk about how a woman's self-esteem might influence her ability to orgasm. All right, so I got asked the other day about how a woman's self-esteem affects her ability to orgasm. Would it matter if she has high self-esteem, low self-esteem? Would that influence her ability to let go and orgasm? And it's an interesting question, and I thought it might be something worth discussing because it might give you some insights into how much a woman's mind plays a role in her ability to orgasm, right? And so if we can generalize, yes, a woman with higher self-esteem may be able to orgasm easier than, say, a woman who is more self-conscious. Now, we'll get into, that's a big generalization. We'll get into some other dynamics of that, but the reason is in order for a woman to let go and orgasm, she has to really turn down that chatter in her mind. She has to let the prefrontal cortex quiet down and just, let her primal brain take over and get into a trance and let herself go. So in general, if she has a higher self-esteem and has less self-talk in the situation of a sexual situation, then yes, she's going to have an easier time letting go. If she has body issues or she's self-conscious and thinking too much, she's going to have a hard time turning off that chatter, and therefore it's going to be a lot harder time for her to become uninhibited and get to that trance-like state. But self-esteem is very situational, right? If you think about it, you might have high self-esteem in certain areas of your life and lower self-esteem if you go into a situation that's outside of your comfort zone. And there's also probably times where you started a new job and you probably didn't feel very confident in yourself. At first, you were maybe really overwhelmed, you were overthinking things, but then over time you became very good at it and you actually built some self-esteem because you actually learned how to do it and you felt confident in yourself. You felt confident you could teach somebody else. You just felt very competent and you could do your job without much thinking. Well, self-esteem is very situational in that regard. Just because someone may appear to have low self-esteem or is self-conscious in certain situations doesn't mean that they have low sexual self-esteem, right? And so we have to be very specific to say, how self-conscious is she in that situation? How easily is she able to feel comfortable? And that actually changes based on your actions, right? Because you have the ability to make her feel very comfortable, to make her feel like she wants to let go, make her feel like she wants to give herself to you. And also, you also have the ability to influence her state, right? So for simplicity reasons, could you imagine giving her a massage and she's so relaxed that she's going into what's called threshold consciousness, where it's just before you fall asleep, that thinking brain starts to quiet down, but the brain isn't fully asleep yet. And right as she's just getting to that level, she's super relaxed, super comfortable with you having your hands all over her. You begin stimulating her G-spot at that point, and you keep her very, very relaxed without letting her conscious mind get engaged. It doesn't really matter what her beliefs about her body are at that point. It doesn't really matter how self-conscious she is. Her brain is quieted down and you've orchestrated a situation where that prefrontal cortex is so quiet that the lower level, even like reptilian brains and the things that seek out pleasure and avoid pain, can take over and give her what her primal being wants, and that is to enjoy sexual pleasure. It's that prefrontal cortex that oftentimes gets in the way and short circuits her ability to orgasm. So yes, in short, she has less chatter in her brain. That's going to be advantageous. She'll probably orgasm easier. However, if she is a little bit self-conscious, and that might be around a lot of things. It might even be that she's not self-conscious with sex normally, but then she's introduced to the idea of squirting, and sometimes all of a sudden she's overthinking it or becoming self-conscious about it. So you have to help her understand that that's perfectly natural In fact, it's absolutely amazing, and get her over sometimes even that initial hurdle of letting go and realizing that it's not going to be pee, it's going to be female ejaculate. And it's absolutely beautiful. And then she can go from that point of overthinking it to experiencing it. And then all of a sudden she's going to be able to let go more and more. And so that's why when you first start trying to give your woman these amazing full body orgasms, sometimes you just put in a little bit of the time and effort in the beginning and train her to experience it. And then her mind is going to have a much easier time. She won't be self-conscious. She'll be very comfortable. In fact, she'll just really be craving it. And you get to open up a part of her sexuality that she maybe never even knew existed, which is absolutely, absolutely amazing. So I hope that gives you some key insights into sort of the mental side of female orgasm. And yeah, if you have any questions, leave some comments below. And yeah, if your questions are common questions that I hear a lot, I'll make a video to answer them. Otherwise, I'll try to answer them in the comments. And hit the subscribe button for more content. And if you're not already giving your woman squirting orgasms, I have an educational video over on my blog at jasonjulius.com/squirt. So check that out too. And I will see you in the next video.